Hey, what's up guys? My name is Cameron Gallagher from We Are Film, and today we're talking about our new short film, so let's get into it. Hey, what's up guys? So we are back. I know, it's been a moment. Zach actually bought a house, got married, is having a baby, and I got a girlfriend. So things have been pretty intense here, but we are back finally. The new episode of our podcast is on our actual We Are Film podcast. It's on Spotify or whatever, however you listen to podcasts, it is there. So go be sure to subscribe to that and listen to that. But today we're talking about the brand new short film, The Faceless, that we've been working on that might be out or might be coming out soon depending on when you're watching this.
Camera speed.
All right. Scene 1A, take 1. Scene 2A, take 2.
D, take 2.
Action, action, action. But I wanted to talk about some of the behind the scenes of sort of how things went, how things kind of came about, how things didn't work out the way we wanted to, and sort of how we adapted. Now this is only going to be about the pre-production and the production. We're going to do a different video on the editing and music and that kind of stuff later. So this is just about the sort of production stuff. So of course one of the first things is coming up with a story and writing a script. Now for the technical aspect, I like to write in Highland 2. It's just my favorite. I just like the way it writes. I don't know, it is what it is. You can use Slugline, whatever you want. You can use Microsoft Word if you really wanted to. But of course, whatever works best for you is best. Whatever lets you tell your story is best. So for me, the idea for this was I really wanted to I kind of had this idea about like a faceless being or creature sort of coming to someone in the middle of the night and sort of kind of like wanting their face, almost as like a, something they needed. And I thought it was creepy because a character could then talk about it as if it was a dream and sort of say, yeah, I had this weird dream. And one of the big things that we really liked about the story was the flip-flop of the characters. So basically in the beginning, Emma is telling the story about this dream she had, and then it transitions to the Mia character, and we sort of think Emma's gonna get haunted again, and it ends up being the Mia character. So that was kind of the initial story idea, was this faceless creature sort of haunts these people because it needs a face. Now with a short film, we don't want to dive too far into maybe the backstory or certain things, so we just wanted to keep it simple. We don't know what it is, we don't know exactly what it's doing, but we know enough to be scary, or hopefully be scary, for the scene. So one of the first things that we had to do once we had our script in place was actually find a crew. Now thankfully we've worked with a ton of people over the years, so we kind of went back to some of the people that we've worked with in the past and the sort of the staples of the short films that we've done in the past. One of the biggest and newest additions was adding our director of photography, Josh. So Josh has a YouTube channel, he does amazing stuff, he has Instagram, I'll be sure to link everything down in the description below. But he does incredible work, and not only that, but actually his wife came and sort of just helped out in general. She was amazing. Christina was just like on the ball on everything, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But finding a good crew is super important because people that are like-minded, that get excited about a short film or get excited about whatever project you're working on is super important, because if they're not excited, they're not gonna do a good job and they're not gonna be having fun. One of the ways that I like to actually find a lot of the crew members is by using Production Hub or some of those websites. Now, I'm not sponsored by any of them at all, and my trick is you go to the website, you find them, and then usually go find them on Instagram or Facebook and message them and say, hey, like I saw you on Production Hub, are you interested, blah, blah, blah. Hopefully the conversation goes from there. So that's what I've done in the past, and it seems to be the easiest way that you're not having to pay to go contact people. So Zach actually produced the film with me, and one of the big things that we wanted to do initially was to come up with a shot list and sort of a storyboard based on the initial script. Now, one of the things that we did was, so we actually did this. We went through, we storyboarded, we came up with a shot list. I actually used the Shot Lister Pro app. I'm actually a pro subscriber, but it's the Shot Lister app. We have nothing to do with Shot Lister, but I'll tell you what, this app is incredibly amazing. And Zach, who does all the work there, not our Zach, different Zach, he does amazing work. And the Shot Lister app is just something that's been super handy. So if you definitely need a shot listing app in general, 100% use it. There's a free version, you can pretty much do everything. The pro version lets like you do storyboards and syncing, that kind of stuff. So we went ahead and we did this entire shot list and this entire storyboard. And of course, as most things do, or most things happen, the Newton's law kicked in, and what can happen will happen. And we ended up losing some of the locations. And this was one of the big things, because initially, the intro scene was a pool scene. They were gonna be hanging out at this pool scene. It was this kind of like fun summer vibe. We lost the location, but not only that, the weather was going to be terrible, so we couldn't even find a similar location. So basically all of our storyboards and everything got thrown out. At least the shot list gave us a base to kind of go on, but we ended up just pretty much going by the seat of our pants when we actually got there on the day. So thankfully last minute we did find a location. It was actually my grandmother's house and she's selling it. So she's not living there and there's basically nothing there, just some leftover furniture, which was perfect because we didn't have to move in the furniture then when we did. So the actual shoot day came and it was a pretty long day. We had to shoot everything in one day just because of all the practical, getting people there and getting people back, all that kind of stuff. A lot of people had to drive. So we wanted to make sure that we could get it all done efficiently as possible and in one day. So Zach and I got there about 9 a.m. and the rest of the crew got there about 9:30, 10, and we started setting up for the first scene, which is actually the dining room scene.
All right, cool.
Haze looking good. I don't think we need to use a fan.
I don't think so.
I think it's a pretty good level right now.
So the thing with
No, I really actually though, I think we should really try to still keep that same kind of like that direction angle too from that window, because I do love the way that it's kind of like finish out the story. And then at that point, let there be kind of like a little bit of awkward silence for a second. Thinking about it, you know what I mean? So it's like there's almost this like fear in that. And even go right, because that's the law's right on you, even just go right to like a whisper almost, where it's like, like, I thought I woke up and I swear I can feel something. You know what I mean? Where it's like you're almost like talking to yourself, because it's like you're convincing yourself about this whole situation. Because you basically are, you're going back to the dream. So I feel like if we keep that, that's like absolutely perfect. And the way it probably comes down to, we could have, when she comes into frame, it's gonna really fade. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she'll just start bleeding.
Now, one of the big things that we did to keep our days, but also to be able to do this to shoot day for night, is we had to pretty much tarp off everything. Now, in the kitchen and dining room, there was a giant window wall basically opening to a room that was a living room with a bunch of skylights, so we had to tape that off, which that was fairly simple. We just used this 6mm black plastic. And then same thing with the windows outside, we just taped those pretty much over. Now the trick is when you do this, you have to be able to have light coming through those to look like moonlight. So we wanted to have lights coming through the actual sliding glass doors in the scene. So we actually used Josh's Nan lights. They're kind of like tube lights, almost like quasar tubes. And we put them inside, just kind of taped up, and they created this like little bit of moonlight through the actual sliding glass doors, the actual blinds in the sliding glass doors. And that way we had a basic moonlight look. One of the other things was we actually had some of his APUTURE, I think they're the MX lights, they're like the little magnetic ones. And we stuck those up behind Riley, so that way they kind of gave this nice little backlighting. So actually our main key light was a 300D Mark II. We had that boomed up with my glow parapop and grid. And then actually below that we had a 6x silk. This kind of created a nice focus light that was going to be very soft, but still focused enough and not going to spill all over the background, and that gave us this super nice sort of fun dinner scene. Now actually in the back, all the way down the hallway, we added another Nan light tinted fairly blue, so that way we could have that sort of blue light kicking in the background to kind of match that moonlight from the other Nan lights. Now one of the secret tricks of actually shooting anything is haze. We used a ton of haze, not too much, but enough to fill the room and really give the room a kind of hazed over look, and it just makes the production value look that much better, and it helps carry light that much better too. Now actually, while we were doing this, we were prepping the next scene, which was the bedroom scene. Tyler and Zach actually created a giant tent, so I actually went to Walmart and bought one of those like really cheap 6-foot like tents that you use at like sporting events. And they actually took one of those and boomed it up with C-stands and then did black plastic all around it to create a giant sort of, basically a lightless encasing of the window, so that way we could put lights inside. So they were actually doing that while we were shooting parts of the dinner scene. Now you might be asking, what were we shooting on? I know, right? So we were shooting on the Ursa Mini Pro G2. We were shooting in Blackmagic RAW, I believe 3:1 or 5:1, I can't remember exactly. And we were actually shooting on a vintage set of contacts lenses. So these are ones that Josh had gotten and they were just awesome to use. And one of the biggest things that I really loved that we used on set, which is like probably one of the best things, is actually a director's monitor. If you can get a director's monitor, definitely do it, because it made a huge, huge difference in just being able to witness the film itself as if it was a film, as if you're watching it on a TV, and it doesn't have that like on a camera feel where you don't really get the sense of the immersion. Watching it on that director's viewfinder and that director's monitor just made it so much easier. So definitely if you can get one of those, a huge must. Now we actually just ran it with an SDI cable right to that, so I could just sit there and watch the takes back as Josh was actually manning the camera. One of the cool things we actually did too was, so we used 2 lav mics for the wide shot in order to get both of their audio. And although this was really great because we couldn't fit an actual boom pole in the scene because of the silk, one of the things that we realized was one of the lines we were a little bit nervous might not come up perfect. So using that director's monitor, we actually played it back live and did a live ADR session with Riley right while we were there to make sure that we got the best audio possible in case we needed it later.
Just when she's talking though, I don't think that you'd, you know what I mean? Because if she's saying that thing, like, you know what I mean? Hers, there's such a big dynamic range difference.
From my dream!
Perfect. Cut.
And that brings us to the second scene, which was the bedroom scene. This was the big, creepy, heightened scare scene. Hey guys, so I'm cutting in here super quick because I'm very excited to talk about our sponsor. That's right, we have an amazing sponsor. And that sponsor for this episode is Skillshare. You've probably heard of them. So if you don't know about Skillshare, it's basically a massive online learning community of creatives for creatives. So they have everything from writing to animation to photography and film and a lot more, like a lot more. I'm personally super excited to dive into some of the Storytelling 101 class, as well as exploring some of their business experiences as well. I also know Zach is very excited to dive deeper into the animation one, because that's something we want to do in the future. And they have tons of other amazing classes from top to bottom. And that's one thing that Skillshare is that I really like, is that it's not just for one type of creative, it's something for everyone. So if you're discovering a new creative journey, or you want to go down a new creative path, or you're a seasoned pro that just wants to kind of brush up on some skills, or see what other creatives are offering, Skillshare is just a melting pot for learning for all of us. And the best part is the first 1,000 people to click the link in the description below will get a free trial to the Skillshare Premium membership. So again, if you love learning and you love experiencing new creative ideas and just seeing more stuff, be sure to join the Skillshare community and join us there. And a huge thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this episode.
I'll run through, we'll get ready. We'll do it last minute, have you for the chat.
Okay.
That way it's not all wet and gross.
See, I can just see the door now.
Oh, that was a good picture.
So everybody peace sign. Yeah, there you
This
go.
is a sweet little
Matte box
flag
there.
here,
Look
it's
at
really
that.
helping with this water.
It comes off as like the lip sounds, like the constant kind of sounds.
Yeah.
That way we don't know what you're even saying. But you have like this look of like, I need to tell you something grave. Something's very important I need to tell you. Creak it till it's about halfway, and then we'll cut and we'll get the close up. Because
Yeah.
we're gonna cut back to
Yeah.
Maya's like, oh shit reaction, and they'll do it.
Yeah.
And then that'll be that for that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
I love that the creature has the cutest, like, pedicure toes.
So yeah, Maya, you're gonna do the
Light back on.
so 3 knocks. Who is it? And then
Before the doors open.
and then the door's gonna jiggle and it's who is it? So actually I'm gonna go 2 knocks. First knock, say nothing.
Second knock.
Second one, who is it? And then Teresa, after she says who is it, start jiggling the doorknob.
Okay.
Alright?
When do I start to open it?
I would say jiggle it for like a second and a half, 2 seconds.
Okay.
Pause for a second and then slowly open it.
Okay.
Like this is the worst thing you've ever seen in your entire life.
There it is.
And she's gonna come down, boom. We're actually going to then have a shot behind you, and that's gonna be the final shot, which will be of like the other people.
So like I said earlier, we had tented out the window, and what we did was actually blasted a 300D with a Fresnel mount on through the window with also a silk just to soften it up a touch. And the great thing is with the blinds that we had, it created this really awesome light beams. Now to augment that, because that was too harsh and also not directional enough, we actually boomed up what did we boom? So we actually boomed up another 300D with a Glow Parapop softbox, and that just created a really dim but nice sort of soft moonlight on Maya's face. This way, when we were actually seeing her, there was actually light on her face and it wasn't just so dramatic where we couldn't see. Now when the light actually turns on, we used a Quasar Science QLED light. Those are the battery powered ones, and that was just a tungsten balance, and that just helped augment that actual light that was there on set. Because again, using that practical on set made it that much easier. And that bulb actually in the light was a real tungsten light, so it was easy to balance to. Not only that, it obviously looked good on camera. And one of the tough things was that this room was very small, and having to work in a tight space was pretty interesting and difficult. So one of the things that we actually did was I actually set up my director's monitor inside of the closet. That way I could sit in the closet where it was completely dark, see the takes, but not be in the way. Because a lot of the shots are panning or moving across the frame of the actual room. So a lot of us had to hide and be as cautious as possible. Now this came into a lot of trickiness when it came to recording audio, so what we had to do was boom as far away as we could or be right behind the camera most of the times. One of the things that we did to keep this safe was we actually did a lot of the dialogue straight on either side, kind of an A and B. That way we made sure we had the good dialogue, even if we were on a good wide shot or we were on a different shot, maybe a stylized one, we had the right stuff that we needed just in case we needed that audio for later. So definitely I would say, although coverage can be sort of a crutch, make sure you have coverage, especially on audio, because you can't go back and do that. You can do ADR, but it's not the same when you get it on set. One of the other really tricky things we kind of figured out was we had to break the 180-degree rule in order to pull off some of the creepy shots that we needed. But we found that we actually wanted to do it on a specific spot. I think this is a key and sort of interesting piece. When you want to break a rule, do it at a very specific time that you're going to do it, a planned out time, so that way it doesn't confuse people. We actually broke the 180-degree rule right as the light sort of started to flicker. So what we did was when we broke it right on that light flickering, kind of this change from something's creepy to something is definitely wrong. And again, it set us up for the creepy shots, and we already had a sense of the space, so that way people weren't confused as to what this room looks like. You've already seen the room, so when we do break the 180 rule, it's not a big deal. Now, Teresa Tuttle did all her own makeup, which was awesome, and she made such a creepy look, and it just came out so great in the actual short itself. We probably won't show too much so we don't give it away, but it is really exciting, and I thought it was really fun. And actually, one of the final shots is a VFX shot, which we'll talk about in another episode that's all about the post-production. But that was kind of fun because we had to shoot it completely locked off, so that way when we did our VFX shot, it was going to be a lot easier to track and do. And we didn't really need a crazy shot anyway, so just by locking it off, it was super simple. And the last scene, of course, was the driving scene. This was super easy to pull off. All we had to do was actually just open the trunk, which gave us our 2 shots. That way we could see both our actresses. And then we just shot over the shoulder, actually through the windows on either side to get our A and B kind of shot coverage. Now, one of the things that we did was actually use a nan light above the car on the moonroof, and that sort of spilt through, giving us that idea of like an inside light is on. And it was super simple, super easy, and it made for a really good shot. Now, originally we were hoping to get some kind of sunset look, but we just didn't do that with time, and it was just not that easy. Now, we actually did post a video where we did some pickup shots after, because we needed some exterior shots, and we also needed a few little small shots, but you can watch that video to kind of talk about that. But anyway, it was a super fun shoot, and again, we're gonna have it linked down in the description below if it is out. If it's not, there's gonna be a coming soon link, so just be sure to check that and watch that if you wanna see it come out very soon. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later.